Hello, it's Ash from Crack Minis again. Today I'm going to be doing some more Turnip28, and I will be making the Great Proboscis. And I'm going to be doing it with a new medium for me, sprue goo. I've got another drawing for you. Here you go. Look, just to give you an idea of what it's going to be. Obviously you've seen the thumbnail, but yeah. And then I made a armature out of wire. I didn't record that because I had one hell of a time with it. Ooh, it was nightmarish. And I'm not a masochist. Then I started bulking that out with tin foil. I'm sorry about the shininess that's on here. I had a nightmare of a time with this. If anyone knows of a way of filming tin foil where it doesn't come out that shiny, please let me know. At first I was wrapping wire around it to hold it in place, and then I realised I've got a hot glue gun. So I switched over to that and made my life so much easier. Okay, we're getting up to the sprue goo bit. So sprue goo is made from melted down sprues that you put in acetone. It's basically that easy. You get acetone, you put it into a glass jar with an airtight lid, and you put little bits of curb sprue from your leftovers from whatever you're working on. As long as there are some plastics that don't melt in it. I can't remember the list because it's quite a few, but yeah, majority of sprues from model kits will melt in acetone. Once the acetone dries off, you can use the remaining sprue for a short amount of time as almost like a clay, similar to it's like a putty basically. It turns into a putty. It takes somewhere in the area of 72 hours to fully set, and it rips through nitrile gloves. It dries them out and they crack and split. I had to switch over. I used that many that I had to switch over to a barrier cream because I completely ran out of gloves and hadn't had a chance to get them in before I needed to finish where I was at, because this video took quite a while, especially with the drying times and stuff. I got this technique from the Miniature Hobbyist, who I saw using it last year. He did a bunch of episodes on it. They were really good. So I thought I wanted to try and replicate that or put my own spin on it. And I'd noticed when I was doing some test pieces that it has this tendency to stretch and pull on itself, so it strings and sinewy, which I thought would work really well for the Great Proboscis because it's an elephant monster, so it has an elephant skin look naturally just from working it. I should probably tell you about the Great Proboscis. It's from a cult in Turnip28, March of the Great Proboscis, and it's basically an elephant but with lots of trunks and mushrooms growing out of it. I'm still trying to work out how to make the mushrooms myself en masse because I'm going to need lots of them for a project I'm working on, and that's sadly why there aren't any on this one. I will read from the Mercenary Handbook. That onslaught of flesh, muscle and tusk came screaming after us. It pulverized the pack hogs, it plucked men from saddles and crunched their bones to ruin. It gored them, it mangled them, it tore a man's spine out with its bloody nose. And still it came thundering on my heels. I ran until my legs felt like they would break, and only then, when I thought myself done, surrounded by the writhing slurry of my comrades, clutching ears and entrails, a distant horn was sounded, and pirouetting, the beast waddled grinning back into the mist. As I said before, I need mushrooms for the next part of this is basically going to be the first half about this cult, this specific cult, because it has a leader called Bloetius, and I think that's how you say it. Blotus. Yeah. Anyway, he's a fungal knight, so I need mushrooms for his horse. Oh, might as well drop this in here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, comments. If you see anything that you can't find yourselves online that I'm using, just let me know, and I'll do my best to try and find it for you. Alright. So it should be at the part where I'm building a archer nest on its back. I don't know the technical term for it. I'm just going to call it an archer nest. I added cotton candy sticks to my collection of wood. And yeah, they've come in really handy for this build. because they make quite good corner pieces, you know, like, because they're decent thickness. Also, it's a lot easier than having to carve up a big chunk of balsa wood just to make a frame for things. It went together pretty easy as well. I sort of just stuck it all haphazardly together because I wanted it to look like it'd be painful for it. I wanted to look like the creature was in pain all the time. You'll see as with the way I paint it later on. I learned some of the last video ways of painting saws and stuff like that, so I wanted to use that in this one as well. It also comes in line with the story I'm going to tell in a little bit as to why it would look like it's in pain all the time. And I wrapped it all in string. I tried a new technique with the string this time. Rather than soaking it in Mod Podge first, I just applied it and then added super glue over the top. It made it easier to paint than it was last time because it wasn't as absorbent, but it didn't give me quite the finish that I wanted on the string. It like wispy. It looks good, but in my opinion it looks good, but it didn't look as good as the last one, if you get what I mean. And if you know, because I haven't been able to find anyone of any YouTubers that have more experience painting string, not spring, what am I on about, and you think I might benefit from it, let me know, because I'm all for trying new things. You know, this is case in point. I've never used sprue goo before for anything, and I built this with it, so I'm willing to give anything a try. It's half the fun of the hobby, really. I mean, learning stuff and trying new things and just seeing what works and what works for you, or what works for me rather. It makes my life easier. Oh, and I tried something new with the cloth as well. So this time I used dried wet wipes, and I will be honest with you, the finish effect isn't great. It looks okay, but it's just not as fun to paint as the actual, like, a wet tissue paper soaked in Mod Podge. I mean, the longevity of that isn't great, but it's just easier to work with. And considering for the moment, these aren't going to get a lot of playtime, I'd rather have them look cool until I can play with them, and then maybe change stuff over as I go. The tusks I made from Super Sculpey, that I took a wire brush and added some details to it before I baked it. They're very subtle, because I wish I had Super Sculpey firm, it takes detail better, but I couldn't get my hands on it. Well, I couldn't find it anyway. This video was on the long side, so I wasn't expecting it to be this long, but you know what they say, larger projects, longer videos. First time I put the tusks in, I did them the wrong way around. I realised I wanted the long ones at the front and like the shorter ones towards the sides. You'll see why once I've built the rider. I used Frostgrave cultists as the base for this. I didn't really do a lot to the model overall, other than adding a few bits here and there, because they're actually like really cool little minis with plenty of detail on them, and the masks and heads fantastic, the arms great, the weapons on them great. I can't really complain, and the size was just right for making this thing look gargantuan, which it is technically if you can compare it to other 28mm scale miniatures. So I raided my bits box. I took a chest plate and the shoulder pad from a crew that I had spare, and I'm not sure where I got the back plate, and the whip is off an orc box thing I had to spare as well. The original arm had a spear, so I was like, yeah, I'll use that, and the other one was outstretched like it was grabbing something, which I thought this is perfect for what I needed to build, because I wanted a way to steer this thing, which is why I had those two little tusks either side. So I made what I thought might get away with looking like a steering column out of like a handle off something, and a Necron back, and a set of teeth from orcs, and I think it's like two knives stuck together. You'll see. I think that's what it is. If you know the actual bits and what their names are, just let me, what they actually are or what kits they're from, let me know. I bought a bits box on a whim, and these just what was in it. I had loads of stuff in it. Should put me around about the terrain paste time for the base. All I did was add my terrain paste, pushed in a load of little skulls, and used a set of wheels to go over it to make little grooves. I think it's time for a story. Well, as most of you know, I've been making stories up to go with my builds, and I've got this sort of little world that I'm setting everything up in, with some mention of geography every now and then. And I wanted to do the story based for that, so that I could use this as something else, maybe if I ever wanted to. It starts when two men see this in the mists near their town. They call it Gajah the Great and Powerful.
Did you see that thing? That was massive. Ungodly yet massive. What was that?
That, my boy, was Gajah the Great and Powerful. Have you never seen it before?
Of course I haven't. It was massive.
Well, my boy, you are in for a treat, because I'm going to tell you the tale of the Great Gajah. Our story starts a long time ago, far from the Midland Sea, in a place of verdant green, home to many small villages and towns, and it was a truly beautiful place to live, far from the dangers of the outside world. Many were wealthy, not just with gold, but with joy and love. It was quiet for the most part, but occasionally something interesting would happen, and in this case, a small carnival was setting up a show, a wondrous affair with dancers, acrobats, strongmen, wire walkers, flying people, clowns, and most amazing of all was this creature. Gajah the Great and Powerful, the boaster said. Well, people came from far and wide to see the show. They felt the very ground beneath them shake as Gajah came to greet them, majestic but also delicate, never putting anyone in danger even though he was so massive. He performed mighty feats for entertainment. You truly felt like it made him happy to see you happy, or as much as a creature could. Anyway, like I said, people came from far and wide, and one day a stranger came to visit the carnival. The locals didn't know who he was, never seen him before, not ever. He walked straight up to the trainer of Gajah, who was standing with the carnival owner. He wanted to offer them great wealth for Gajah. He offered jewels, gold, silks. They said no to everything. Gajah was theirs, they loved him. They treated him as if he was a child. There was no amount of wealth that he could have offered would ever have got them to sell him. The man became belligerent and angry. This beast is better used in war than show. You're wasting it. I want him. Give him to me. I'll put proper use to him. Unlike you, wasting its talents. Once he heard this, the carnival owner, he'd had enough. He shouted over the strongman, and they dragged the stranger out of the carnival. He screamed, "You will regret this. I promise you it." Once he was dealt with, the carnival workers acted like nothing had happened. And for 2 nights, their shows went off without a hitch. They were perfectly. The crowds cheered for the great and powerful Gajah and for his many tricks that he did. But it was on the 3rd night, as the show was ending and the people were leaving. Screams could be heard in the night, screams, and then running as the people surged back into the carnival, chased by fire. There was a group of men holding torches, and at their head, covered in golden armour, was a man. Once the carnival owner had got close, the man began to talk, and he recognised his voice. It was the stranger. "I made it fair. I offered you wealth, and you threw it back in my face. If you will not trade the beast to me, then I will take it. He took Gajah and imprisoned the carnival owner and Gajah's trainer. Some of the carnival workers escaped the massacre that ensued, swearing their revenge. One day maybe that golden warlord will fall, but as of now, he terrorizes, pillages, and kills anyone he wants. And he uses Gajah the Great and Powerful to do it.
Anyway, that's the story as it stands. There will be a follow-up to this one when I get around to creating Boetius. Can someone write it down phonetically in the comments so I know exactly how to pronounce it? Oh yeah, like I said at the beginning of the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I want to say to everyone who is subscribed, thank you. I appreciate it. I hit my target for the new year, which was 300. So, can't thank you enough for that. It was fun. I'm glad I have hit that far. I'm not far off 400 now, which was surprising. To be fair, it took me something like 4 or 5 months just to get to 100. So, I'm extremely grateful for everyone who's watching these videos, enjoying these videos, liking these videos, commenting on these videos. It means the world to me. And now it's time for the glam shots. See you next time.